we have this obligation to ensure that we are obeying the laws. And one of it is filing your taxes, either you are earning or not earning. So we are going.
Amen. 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 I think we lost our moderator. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, ma.
Yeah, please, we asked that he's back.
I think what happened, like something else take me off. I'm sorry. So
Okay.
yeah, like I'm saying, we have the privilege today to meet with experts who are gonna be walking us through what is acceptable, what is not, and we're also gonna be having the opportunity to ask questions. So as we are going through the messages, I would like you, if you have any question, and that's why we are here. I want you to keep jotting them down. There will be a point at this in this presentation where we are gonna be able to entertain all your questions. So for us to start, I'm going to be introducing the two of them. The first person is Mrs. Adeola Adeniyi. Permit me as I read our profile from here. Mrs. Adeola Adeniyi is a financial accountant with profound skills in analytics and financial management. Adeola holds a Master's of Science in Accounting from Southern New Hampshire University, United States of America, and also an MBA with a concentration in financial management from Ladoke Akintola University, Nigeria, and a Bachelor's of Accounting from Lagos State University. And she has a career of over 18 years in corporate world, and she's also an author and of the grace that sets the pace and hold the haze. Her passion for financial literacy and empowerment has led her to mentor aspiring accountants and entrepreneurs. She loves to give her best to others because she believes that giving hope to the hopeless is the essence of her living. She believes the purpose of living is to bring God's glory, to bring glory to God in whatever she does. And this shapes her involvement in everyday activity. She loves teaching and encouraging young children and adults to thrive. She is currently the Vice President of International Students for Christ. And she also serves as a board member and finance director in different non-profit organizations. Join me today and more importantly, she's happily married and blessed with children. Join me today in welcoming Mrs. Adeola Adeniyi. Also,
Welcome.
Thank
also,
you.
we have, coincidentally, they both bear Adeola. We also have in our midst another expert, Adeola Ajayi by name. She's a seasoned financial professional with extensive background in financial services. She holds a FINRA Series 6 qualification as well as dual masters in accounting and business advisory services. As an experienced consultant, she's passionate about educating, motivating, and inspiring others to take charge of their financial future. Our clients include wide range of professionals, millennials, young and mature families, business owners, and executives. Join me in welcoming Ms. Adeola Ajayi. You are all welcome to today's program. So I want you all, like I said, to be listening, and they are going to be having a short presentation, and shortly after that, we are going to be having a time of question and answers. So as you are listening to the presentation, I would have you jot all your questions as we are going to be asking them shortly after the presentation. Thank you. Mrs. Adeola Adeniyi, you can have the floor.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, depends where you are. I'm happy to be in your midst again this moment. I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm going to concentrate on non-resident taxes. Why Mrs. Adiola Ajayi will concentrate on resident taxes. But I believe that every one of you will all learn greatly from both of us this evening, and start noting your question now, so that immediately we finish talking, you will have opportunity to ask your question. So when we talk of non-resident aliens, who are the non-resident aliens? International students fall under this category, and international students in United States, he or she is a non-resident alien. And as an international student, you are meant to file tax every year. Whether you earn income or not, it is mandatory that you file taxes. But if you have stayed in United States over 5 years, you will become residents in United States in the scope of tax purposes for those that have F1 visa. But for those that have J1, after 2 years, you will become a resident. So when you become a resident, that means you can file another form, which is called Form 1040. We will get there. But if you have not yet a resident, you are supposed to file 1040 NR. Reasons for filing tax return as an international student. 1, to receive tax refund from excess tax payments. Let's get it right. Tax season is not a season of receiving free money, no. You can only receive a refund when you file excess. Note that. 2, to satisfy your immigration requirements. Inasmuch you are in this nation as an international student, part of your visa requirements is you must file your tax at the end of the year. 2, to claim benefit for any tax deduction from your W-2. That is another reason that you need to file your tax. Also, if you yourself has underpaid your withholding tax, is an opportunity for you to what? To repay back what you have paid less. So let's just note those reasons why we file taxes. Exemption on employment. As an international student in this United States of America, if you are still under non-residents, you are not supposed to be taxed for Social Security and Medicaid. A lot of international students, they were not aware of this. As an international student in United States of America, if you are still under the status of non-residents, if at all you are doing your OPT or CPT, you are not supposed to be taxed for Social Security and Medicaid. If you check your payslip and you notice that you still fall under non-residents and they've been taxing you for Social Security and Medicaid, you need to let your employer know that currently you are still non-residents, and according to the law, you are not supposed to be what? To be taxed. They can actually amend the W-2 for you, or you yourself can you can reach out to IRS for you to get your refund. It is very, very key. And there are some cases whereby some people do some work that they are not authorized. If you do work that you are not authorized for, you are not exempted under this category. This exemption is meant for those that are doing the job which the government has authorized them to do. We need to know that. The limitation of the exemption are: one, your spouses, your children are not covered under this because they are your dependent, they are not covered under it. Also, as I've said, if you are doing unauthorized jobs, you are not covered under this. You are not. Also, if your status has not yet has changed to residence, you are not covered under this. So this exemption is meant for those that are still under non-residents. Tax form for non-residents. As an international student in the United States, if you have an earned income, the tax form that you must fill for your return is 1040 NR. 1040 NR is dedicated for international students under non-residents. But the moment you become a resident, you will move to 1040. As I've said earlier, when you have spent above 5 years in United States of America, your filing status will change. You will be filing 1040 if you are F1. But if you are J1, after 2 years, you will be filing a residence form, which is 1040. But if you are still below 6 years, you are supposed to file 1040 NR. A lot of international students has been filing 1040, and this is really, it can cause what you may not end up like at the end of the day. But there is still opportunity for you. You still have chance to file amendment, which is 1040X for 3 years. So for some of you that has been filing a wrong form, because as you are filing the wrong form, the benefits that are meant for green card holder, citizen, residents, you will be enjoying it. Like during the time that COVID-19 form was given out, a lot of international students received that money. And some of them do not know the reason why they were paid that money. The reason is that they've been filing 1040. If you have been filing 1040, you'll be getting what you are not supposed to get. And it can later cause what you may not end up like. So my advice to you all, if you fall under that category, try as much as possible to file amendment. Tax return deadline. For this year, 2024, the deadline for tax return is April 15. From now to April 15, try as much as possible to file your tax. If you exceed that, it's a risk. It's a risk because if you want to change your status to green card or you want to change your visa to another visa, it can actually cause issue for you. So you need to be aware that April 15 is the deadline. And if you may be on this platform tonight and you may say, I'm not working in United States. I'm not earning an income in United States. If you are not earning income, you are still mandatory to fill Form 8843. Form 8843 is for all international students that are not earning income and all their dependents. That is the form that is meant for them. Common forms. Employment or boarding form. For some of you that are working currently, you are familiar with all this form. The moment you receive employment or employment offer, and during the onboarding process, you'll be given W4, some W9, and giving you all this form is for you to be able to indicate to your employer that I want them to take a certain amount as a withholding tax from your paycheck. So that W4 or W9 is given to you by your employer. But at the end of the year, employer also will give you what? W-2, which is a tax statement of all the wages that you have received in the whole year. There is also 1099. 1099 are those people that are involved in contract work as given authorization by the DOS. You must be authorized before you can receive a contract job. But if you end up receiving that kind of a job, the kind of form that you will get is going to be 1099. It's not going to be W-2. 1099B. So this is a form that, as many of you that has stock, you are going to get this. If you are involving in stock or you do one investment that you are getting interest dividends, they will send this form to you. And when they send this form to you, the essence is for you to report it, because what is stated there is about whether you make profit or not, or that is just the essence of it. And you are supposed to report it. 1098C is from your university. It's a form that's specifically for tuition statements. And this form they always give it out to every international student. For them giving you this form does not mean that you actually qualify for tuition credit. Does not mean that. But for those that are residents or green card holder, they can be qualified. 1095 or 1099HC. This also is a federal tax document given to every international student that has insurance. Some states also make insurance a mandatory thing. Like, for example, Massachusetts, it's compulsory that all international students must also have state health insurance. But some states is only school. If it is from your school, the insurance of your school at the end of the year will send 1095 to you. So all those forms are for you to file your returns. Deductions and credits. For international students that are not yet a resident, it is advisable for them to use itemized deduction. But standard deduction is for residents and for those nations that their country has a tax treaty with United States. For example, if you are from India, you can actually use standard deduction. But if your nation does not have a tax treaty with United States, you are supposed to use itemized deduction. Rent credits. Some states have rent credits, but I can tell you of Mass. Mass has a rent credit of 4,000 for international students. That is to say, at the end of the year, your total rent on your accommodation, the state of Mass will give you maximum of 4,000. Can be less, but maximum of 4,000. You may want to say that, assuming I'm sharing accommodation with my classmates or with my friend, both of you also are qualified, but the money will be shared between both of you. Student loan interest, which is maximum of 2,005. This is for all international students that have a student loan. And you can also qualify if you have a student loan from your country. But the student loan you receive from your country is for your schooling in this United States. I want us to be clear about it's for your school in this United States. So you can get a maximum of 2,500 at the end of the day. Tuition credit. Tuition credit is for residents and green card and citizens. It's not for non-residents. American Opportunity, Lifetime Learning Credit. These two are for residents, green card holders, or United States citizens. It's not for non-residents. At that note, I will say thank you all for listening to me. If you have any question, you can put it in the chat and I will answer at appropriate time. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so
Over
much
to you,
for
Bertolo.
yeah. Um, I'm kind of thinking maybe we should entertain question now, but let's quickly go through the other presentation, then we can just take the questions all together. But then you can start putting the your questions. I would like you to personally send them to me, but if you also want to drop it, it's just gonna it's not gonna be easy to keep tracking all the stuff. But I can also do that. So yeah, it's either you send it personally to me or you send it there. We are gonna do that. Answer this question at the right time. So over to you. Thank you so much, Mrs. Adeola Dini. Over to you, Mrs. Adeola Ajayi, for the next presentation.
Thank you so much. I hope you all can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Thank you all so much for having me tonight. And I want to say a great, wonderful job to my sister, my friend. She's, my very close friend. We're not just sisters, but we are families. We've been friends so I want to say a big thank you and wonderful job for her, because she really touched on certain things I was going to touch on for residents. And I'm going to share my slide real quick. I'm going to run through it real quick. So let me know if you all can see my slide. Just the one in the chat, or just that's okay. So here's my slide, right? So I'm only going to talk about resident alien, what applies to resident alien in terms of taxes. Okay, you're considered a resident alien in America for tax purposes under two conditions. The first one is the green card test, and the second one is the presence test. She talked about, as an international student, if you've been here for more than 5 years, you do qualify as a resident. And that falls under, even if you don't have your green card yet, you do qualify as a resident alien, and that falls under the substantial presence test. You have to, what that means is that you have to have been here for a certain number of days and at least 3 years. They calculate those numbers. There's a calculation for it. It's on the IRS website. I'm not going to go into that, but we know the green card test as well. You have to have a permanent lawful resident. You have to be a lawful resident. Once you have those two, you become a resident alien. And the reason you become that is because you have Social Security. That's one. And then it also opens you up to certain deductions and credits that you can get on your tax forms that wasn't available to you as a non-resident. So we're going to run through those real quick. She mentioned Form 1040 NR for non-resident. For a resident, it is Form 1040. That's what you file as a resident alien. And that's how the form looks like. I was going to see, but I don't think I can make it bigger, but I will talk about what's on the form. I'm going to talk about that. And then we also have the 1040, you have the Schedule C side. For 1040, it's usually for end income. I'm going to go to that. If you have a W-2, as long as you have a taxable income. In America, as long as you have end income, starting from a minimum of $400 in a year, you're being paid a minimum of $400 a year as income, you have to pay taxes. They start to take withholdings. Your employer, if you're a W-2 person, your employer will take withholding taxes. And those taxes, they can be up to four forms of taxes. You have the federal tax income, you have Social Security, you have Medicaid, and then for some states, they take their taxes too. Some states don't tax, but some states, so usually maybe up to 4 forms of taxes. So you need to note that. That's one. Two, when it comes to taxable income, right? We have what's called the earned and unearned income. She talked about, some forms, Form 1098B for stocks and things like that, interest, that those fall under unearned income. Any income that is generated from investment. You're putting money into investment, you're doing rental income, royalties, gifts, all those things fall under unearned income. For earned income, these are income that you actively work for. You clock in for, maybe you're working for somebody else or you're working for yourself. Those, so the examples, I have them here on the screen. The reason they divide that is because they fall under different tax brackets. what you pay on this type of income, they are different. What you have to pay at the end of the year, they're different. But we're not going to go into that. All of those information, they are readily available on the IRS website. You can do, I mean, IRS is full of tons of information if you need to truly understand how taxes work for you as a resident alien. So I'm going to go on to my next slide. So when it comes to taxes, when you're paying taxes in America, like I said, I have two forms. You have the earned and unearned income. That falls under W-2 income. For W-2 incomes, right, or any other type of income, especially W-2, if it's earned income, they take out, your employer must take withholding taxes every year. And just like she mentioned, right, tax season is not, most people think, oh, I have to get money back during tax season. No, tax season is actually meant for the IRS to reconcile everybody, every taxpayer's account with what you're supposed to pay and what you've paid up to date. If what you have supposed to pay is more than what you have paid, that's when you owe them. You have to pay back what the balance is. If what you have paid is more than what you're supposed to pay, that's when you get a refund. They do have credits and deductions that you can get, but the main reason for tax season is really and truly to reconcile your taxes, every taxpayer's tax liability, to make sure that you are paying taxes as you should. If you pay more, you get refund. If you pay less, you have to pay them back with interest and penalties. So that's how it works for taxes. So, and then when it comes to that, everybody falls into different tax brackets. And I have the snapshot here. And this is based off of what your income is per year, okay? And what your filing status is gonna be. I hope you all can see the screen. They have different tax brackets. You all can see that they're single, if you're filing with your spouse, if you're filing separate, if you're head of household, they have them depending on what your income is. So those are the categories right here. And it ranges from 10% to 37% when it comes to tax brackets for resident alien taxes, okay? So I'm going to skip that. When you're filing taxes, things that you need to know, to be aware of on your Form 1040, the most important things that you need to pay attention to are: number one, your taxable income. Two, they talk about AGI, adjusted gross income, because those would actually determine what you would have to pay in taxes at the end of the day. You have your AGI, your taxable income, then you have your tax bracket, which I just talked about. You also have what is called your filing status. All these things that I have on the slide are very important when you're filing tax. You need to understand how they impact your tax form and what you would have to pay at the end of the year. They really matter a lot. Your filing status, your tax bracket, your taxable income, your adjusted gross income, okay? That sets the precedence for what you're going to pay at the end of the year. But then they also, I mean, just to make, life a little easier, they also give tax benefits as well, to encourage people to say thank you for working so hard and paying your taxes. There are tax benefits and tax deductions that everyone qualifies for. The two major ones that they have when it comes to deductions, okay, I'm going to go back to the initial. They have either the standard or the itemized deduction. I know my colleague, she mentioned something about that, standard or itemized, for non-resident international student, you only do itemized deduction. For resident, you have two options, either standard or itemized. The good thing is you go with whichever one gives you the biggest deduction. That's what you go with. IRS gives a standard deduction that, okay, this is the maximum way, but if you have more than that, we will let you take that. But for you to claim the more than that, you have to have documentation to support that, to support the extra deduction in addition to your standard deductions. But I'm not going to go into all of that. I do have them here. Okay, that's for deductions. So when it comes to tax benefits that they give, I talked about tax deductions where you have the standard and the itemized. The second one has to do with tax credits, okay? That's where you hear people talk about child tax credit, dependent care credit. They talk about tuition credit. She mentioned something like that. Lifetime learning credit, all of those things are available, okay? These are some of the credits that are available and deductions that are available for resident alien. You have child tax credit, you have child dependent care, you have American Opportunity Tax Credit. That's mostly for students, but you have to be a resident alien. For lifetime is also for students, student loan interest deductions. You have charitable donations, all of these things. If you have them, they help to reduce your tax liability at the end of the year. Okay, so you have all that, and then other things that can help too will be if you have any form of IRA, that's retirement account, you're making contribution into maybe a 401k or an IRA. If you have that, if you have a health savings account, and then if you also have like self-employment expenses, we're going to go into that. That's the other part of 1040. That part is for people who are doing 1099 contracting work or who work for themselves. That's the part where you get to have self-employment expenses, deductions, you get all that. But if you're a W-2 person, you don't get self-employment expenses deduction because that's only for 1099 contractor people. It's only applicable to them. So we need to know that. So I'm gonna go to the next slide. I'm still talking about some of the deductions and tax breaks. There's what they call above line deduction. These has to do with your AGI. AGI is your gross income, your total income for the year, right? Minus other adjustments. These other, they only have about 3 or 4 that they call adjustments to your gross income before you come to your taxable income, okay? Because your taxable income determines your tax bracket. And your tax bracket determines what you have to pay in terms of taxes. Okay, that's how it works. AGI, taxable income, right? Then you have your standard deduction or itemized deduction. Then you have your tax, that you have your what's it called, your credits. Then when you have your, then at the end of the day, you have what your tax will be at the end of the day. So for the above line deductions, which falls into your AGI, if you have student loans that you're paying off, they do give you credit for that. They let you take those deductions for paying off your student loans and whatnot. Then the below deduction is your AGI minus your standard deduction, which will give you your taxable income. Okay, so that's for, in a nutshell, I just described what works for people who get W-2 from 1040, right? W-2 and a little bit for 1099 people. So on the other side of form 1040, okay, I'm going to show that form right here. I'm going to go to that form. It's all the way up here. So we have this part. This part is for W-2 people, right? Earned income that I talked about. If you're earning bonuses, commissions, salary, or W-2, this is the form you file. And then the next one is the Schedule C part of 1040. This talks about contractors, 1099 people, gig workers. Let's say you're doing, even if you're a W-2 person, but you have a side job that you're also doing, right? You're earning income on the side, but you're doing it by yourself. You're not being paid by somebody else. That falls under Schedule C as well. Okay, this is where you get to take deductions, business expenses deduction. They have a whole lot of them on that form. I would encourage everyone to, just Google the form, look through those expenses. If you have a side job that you're doing outside of your student work, you're earning some sort of, especially if you're riding, you're doing Uber, you fall under 1099. Okay, so for that, you have certain business expenses that you can take away from that helps reduce your taxes at the end of the year. So you need to note that. It really helps a lot in terms of what you pay as a taxpayer. So that's on the other side of Form 1044, 1099 people, gig workers, or let's say you register a business, right? You register a business, but you are the only owner. It's just a one-member business. You fall under Schedule C as well. So that's, let's see, I think that's what I have. Let me see, one moment. Okay. So like I said, yeah, we talked about the form. So all of that, at the end of the day, like I said, taxable income, you got to know what your tax bracket is. You have to know what kind of deductions that is applicable to you so that you can always maximize your tax savings and know what you have to pay at the end of the year as a taxpayer or as a resident alien. And I think I have run through my slides. that's it for now. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'm just gonna be using your last name since your first name are all the same. So thank you so much, Mrs. Ajayi, for those wonderful presentation. And please, I don't want you to go yet. And Mrs. Yeah, both of you, I want you guys to stick around because we have a lot of questions here already for you. And yeah, the quick questions we have here, which I want us to answer is basically like I heard you guys talk. I know you presented on residents, and I know the first presenter talked on non-immigrant. But the quick question that comes to mind is you made mention of you made mention of the 5 years rule, like what, like I just want to kind of understand that, like, is it when you come into the country legally and you've been staying for 5 years, so you're no longer being considered as non-immigrant again, at least for tax purposes, right? Either regardless of what your status is. Can any of you just buttress on that? Yeah.
For the 5 years, it's applicable for F1 students. For 2 years, it's applicable for J1.
Okay.
And these 5 years is for the residency that you are going to earn is for tax purposes.
Okay.
The law that still bound F1 student banned you, but for tax purposes, you are a resident after 5 years. For J1, you are a resident after 2 years.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Adeni. I want that to be clear to everyone. Like, you are being considered for J1 visa, you are being considered as resident for tax purposes after 2 years. Then as an F1 student, you are being considered for resident after 5 years of being in America, at least for tax purposes. Thank you so much, ma. So now we have a lot of questions here. So I'm just gonna be throwing it to you based on either it's non-migrant or immigrant. So just stay tuned. So then another quick question is, yeah, back in our home country where we come from, like the issue of tax is not really a thing. Yeah, people do pay their tax and all that, but filing. So the question that is running through my mind is, what happen if someone doesn't maybe file for taxes? I know you might not be able to know everything. Like, what are some of the consequences that someone can face if someone decided not to file for taxes or not to pay taxes? Yeah.
It will affect the change of status of that student.
Okay. Yeah.
Because as an international student, one of your visa requirements is you must file United States taxes.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Adeni, for clarifying that. Then
if I can just jump in on that.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Gertrude, and I'm an attorney. I want to also say that failure to file your taxes has very huge consequences for your citizenship. Even if you are a resident, if you do not file your taxes, number one, it shows you're not a good citizen, and it also borders on moral character. And then finally, you're not likely to get your citizenship. It's a big problem. I'm sorry I'm not able to turn on my camera. I'm driving right now. But failure to file taxes would also you could incur penalties, you know. So it's an evidence of good citizenship. You will never become a citizen if you don't file your taxes. In fact, if you have tax issues, you have to enter into a payment plan or do some kind of settlement or arrangement before you can be a citizen. So it's a big deal. Thank you.
Thank you, also, Anthony Gertrude. Okay.
Sorry, also to add to that, because you know, it's not just sometimes it can actually carry, because that's tax fraud. If you don't, it is tax fraud if you don't file your taxes. it can actually carry a jail term to it, depending on how serious and how huge it is. Not just interest and penalties. We know America don't joke with, even past years, they will dig it up. They can go as far back as 5 years, 10 years. So it always required that you file taxes. Even when you don't have taxes to pay, even when you don't have refund to get, especially if you're not, even with residence alien, but especially if your residency, right, is dependent on things like that, you have to make sure you put in the compliance. It's called compliance. Compliance means you have to do it. It's something you have to. If you don't do it, it carries huge repercussions.
Thank you, Mrs. Ajayi. I was going to add that piece to it, like that, what if I don't earn anything? And you have kind of heard it clearly from our experts, like even if you don't earn anything, you are still required to pay your taxes. So now we are going into the questions. Yeah, the first one I have here says, are international students allowed to invest in stocks? That's number one from the same person. The second question is, can international students earn from having YouTube channels? That's
Okay,
Mr. Dini. Okay.
Okay, yes. I'll let my colleague. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We, as an international student, we just have to be very, very careful if your status has not changed, because the visa you carry permits you, if you are still a student, permits you to work within the school. And if you want to work outside the school, you must be authorized. You must be authorized. So for you now working, having YouTube channel, I would say you need to be very careful, because you are going to report it. You are going to report it, and everything has to be documented. So let's just be very careful the moment we are still a student. Let's endure for that time. Then when your status change to residence with green card, not with tax purpose, I would say you can venture into that kind of a thing. That's just what I would say to that.
Thank you so much, ma. Okay.
To
You
add
can
to
add to
that,
it, ma.
right?
Yeah.
To truly expand on what she said, right? So here's the thing, right? For tax purposes, right? You have to have a tax ID or social security for you to file taxes, okay? But for students, right? Because we have people who are in here that are not students, they're illegal residents. They don't have green card. We all know that, no green card, nothing like that. But they can file taxes because they have tax IDs, okay? ITIN, they can. They are not students. They can file taxes as resident illegal. They just don't qualify for certain credits, okay? But if you are a student, you come in with a student visa, okay? Whether you have social security or tax ID, you are a student, you are a non-resident. If your status hasn't changed to residency status, you're not permitted to work certain number of hours. You're only allowed to work certain number of hours as a student because you are on a student visa, okay? So let's say during your non-residency status, right, you're doing other things under the table. Understand that every person you work for, even when you work for YouTube channels and things and you get paid, they have your records, right? They have your social security, they have your tax ID. They are going to issue you tax forms at the end of the year. When they issue you tax forms, those tax forms are also being filed with the IRS. Every tax form you get, IRS gets a copy of it. So if you think I'm doing this thing under the table and things like you earn so much and things like, and they send you and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to file taxes. Know that IRS already has a copy from the people who paid you. So they might not come to you now. It may be down the road when you need to renew whatever you need to, and that comes up. It becomes an issue. So we have to be very careful. Just like my colleague said, follow the rule. After 2 or 5 years, you become a residency, whether with green card or not. As long as you're a resident alien, then you get to enjoy certain tax breaks and certain tax. You can do whatever you can earn as much as you want. You can do as many jobs as you want. You can have as many businesses as you want. You can do as many investments as you want. Because under tax rule, I'm not talking about immigration rule now, I'm talking about tax rule under IRS regulation, right? You have the same rights as a green card holder at that point when you become a resident alien.
Thank you so much. I was also going to add that piece, and you already answered it, like the piece of, okay, what if they send me like maybe some people do Uber and all that, and they made more than $600, and they send me like from 1099, and now I feel, oh, I don't want to file it, so I'm just gonna remove it from my. So I can't do that.
You
Oh,
have
okay.
to.
Okay, so thank you so much for that insight, because many people will be like, oh, I'm just gonna keep it, so I'm just gonna find the one that is legal. So we have heard it from our experts, is not allowed. And for every form they issue to you, the one has already been sent to the IRS, so they already know about it. So quickly to the next question. Someone is asking here that why filing the W-4 form? If I failed that if I felt that my employer should not withhold that tax, how do I pay the tax? And if I am not sure of what I filled, how can I check? Like, I don't know what I think the person was trying to say. I don't know if you understand. Like, if the person was trying to say that when he was filing W-4, that he asked the employer not to withhold any tax. So now, how is he gonna know the tax is owing, and how is he gonna pay?
Is this for a student?
Yeah. That's, I assume. Okay, sorry, Charles, you can just try to indicate maybe a resident or non-resident, just
Yes,
for
you
them to
need
be
to
able
know
to
that.
understand
Yes.
how to answer your question.
Okay.
So
He said yes, he's a student.
okay, student. Okay.
For your W-4, there is no way your employer will surely give you W-4 to fill. You can either fill one there or 0 or 2. There is no way you will not fill something there. So they will treat you based on what you put down. So if you did not fill anything there, they will still deduct withholding tax, because they are mandatory to deduct withholding tax, because it's a federal tax. They have to deduct it. So, and if you are not sure, you can easily walk to your HR and request for it. They can give you and they can let you say it.
Okay. Thank you so much for that clarification. The questions we also have here, I assume, is coming from a non-resident. He's saying that which software can non-resident, that is international student, use for filing tax?
Okay, you can use Spring Tax, but these days we got to see that some international students, if at all, you have been encouraged to be using Spring Tax, but some still yet do not really know how to navigate the software. So if you feel that you still find it difficult to navigate it, you need to reach out to an expert, a tax expert, to actually help you through. It's better for you to do it well and do it right.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ma, for that clarification. So this one is a long one, and this person I think is T Wale. So now I'm just gonna read everything he said, and he's also on the group chat for everyone to see. He said, my wife unknowingly, okay, let me just start from the beginning. He's saying, thank you, Ma, for the wonderful lecture on this all important topic. I also appreciate your one-on-one guidance on today's topic, even before now. This question is on behalf of my family. So this is his scenario. My wife unknowingly filed Form 1040 for 2021 and 2022 tax years instead of 1040 NR. Being an F1 international PhD student with a program start date of 2020, August 23, 2021. So we intend to file the proper tax form 1040 NR for 2023 tax year ASAP. That is, they want to kind of correct what has been going on wrongly. And we also intend to file Form 1040X to correct the wrongly filed tax returns. Here are the 3 questions that he has. He said, I have 3 questions intending to check the effect of these tax filing irregularities on our green card application. Number 1, after correcting the wrongly filed tax forms, will it raise any red flags or have any negative impact on our already filed adjustment of status for November 2023? Okay, that's number 1. The second question is, if the IRS accepts setting up a payment plan for payback or repayment, will the running payment plan raise any red flag on our already filed adjustment? Oh, Mr. Ado, you cannot mute. So, I mean, you can mute. So, the third question, is it advisable to correct the wrongly filed tax after our adjustment of status? And the fourth question, can we ask further question after this seminar, should in case they arise by the virtue of the answers you give and all that? I know it's a long one. I said it earlier. So I don't know if you get all the questions, man.
Yeah, I actually got all the questions. As an international student and you are still under non-resident, I will advise you that you should try as much as possible to correct all your error, because you don't know where God is taking you to in this nation. You may think it will not come up now and it can later hurt you later in life. So correct all your errors and you will be good. You can actually reach out to me after this event.
Thank you so much. I think that private meeting will be necessary. Yeah. And the next question we have here is, what are the consequences of using FreeTAS and USA as an international student? And maybe by extension, what are the consequences of using a kind of application that are developed for residents as a non-resident? Like, I just want to kind of extend the question.
Okay, for international students, some applications are not designed for international students. Some are designed for residents. So we need to be very careful. And sometimes some of international students reach out to some tax preparer, because some tax preparer were not actually familiar with the tax return of international students. So I will advise you to use the application that is designed for international students, or you reach out to me after this program.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So the short summary of everything is, as a non-immigrant, you are not expected to use some application. And one thing I've observed most institutions do, more especially their international student division, they normally send out the acceptable one to their international students. So you can check out for that, apart from meeting personally with Mrs. Adeni. So quickly, we go to the next question. This question, I think anybody can answer this. So he said, like, how much can non-resident get after filing for the tax? I think this kind of depends on how much they have withheld from your income. Sorry, I'm not an expert. Thank you, ma. You can answer this question for us, ma. Miss Adini, yeah.
You actually said it. Yeah, you actually said it, because, as we have said earlier, that tax season is not just a season of free money. It's a season of reconciliation between the government and your employer. So you can only get a refund based on what you have paid them. If you pay them excess, they will give you refund. But if you pay them below, you are going to pay back to them. And when we talk of some tax credits, those tax credits are meant to reduce your tax liability, not just to give it to you. It's just to reduce your tax liability. And if your tax liability is reduced, it's possible you get a little bit of refund. So it's what you give that you get.
Okay. Thank you, ma. That's just it. So, I've also kind of heard like people using it as a means of like savings, like they allow their employer to kind of withhold more than necessary from their account and just to kind of be disciplined. And at the end of everything, they reconcile it and get back their savings. I don't know if this is, yeah,
Yeah,
is also happening.
exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
Miss Adiola Jai can speak better on that. Yeah. Some people do that, which is good.
Sorry, I'm sorry. What was the question again?
No, we were just saying that some people do kind of allow their employer to withhold more than necessary from their income, and they will end up getting that back at the end of the tax season, just as a means to kind of save.
Yes, that's most advisable. That's usually if you're looking to get a refund back, that's the wisest thing to do.
Okay, thank you, Ma. So quickly, we have a question here, which I also think probably is simple, but let's hear it. He said, if someone is helping me to file tax, how do I know if the person is filing with the right form, whether it should be 1040 or 1040 NR? Like, how am I going to know?
That is the reason why we organize this seminar, to educate all international students. Since you are being informed now, you now know the kind of form you're supposed to fill. So if you get to any task preparer, you yourself know the type of form the person should fill for you. So that is one of the reasons of gathering together tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much. So that's the answer. We could move quickly to the next one. I'm sorry, Mrs. Ajayi. Many of us here are international students, so many of the questions are just coming for non-immigrants. So yeah. This question is saying, are there any benefits of filing taxes as a couple, or it's better to file separately? That's number one. The second question of the person is it advisable to use Cash App to file taxes as an international student?
I will quickly speak on non-residents, and Mrs. Ajayi will speak of residents. If a couple as non-resident, you are supposed to file, as we've said earlier, 1040 NR. And when you are filing 1040 NR as a married couple, you will find marriage filed separately. Because your dependent does not have Social Security, and the US government did not expect your F2 dependents to be working. So despite the fact that you are married, as non-residents, you are going to find married but separate filing. And when you file that, your husband will now file 8843 for him to be able to report the number of days he stayed in United States or she stayed in United States.
Thank you. That's so accurate, ma. And
Yeah. Ms.
Mrs.
Ajayi,
Ajayi,
can you please speak on
Filing filing jointly, married for, yes, you can. You can always file if you're a resident alien and you're married, as at December 31st of that year, you can file together with your spouse as married filing jointly. But sometimes some spouses may decide they want to file separate, because depending on their income, remember, like I said, your taxes is based, what you pay is based off of what your taxable income will be at the end of the year. So if you're filing together with your spouse and that income is big, and one spouse's tax liability is more than the other, some spouses may decide, let's file separate. Okay, in that instance, they file married filing separate. Each one of them will file their individual tax return, not as single, but as married filing separate. That's going to be your filing status. So, and all of that, they carry other things with them, in terms of your tax bracket and things like that. But we won't get into, but yes, you can always file jointly or file separate with your spouse. It all depends on what you guys decide to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Ajayi and Mrs. Adeni. Yeah. Quickly to add to that, there are some nuances here, like different kind of situation that people have, like two F1 students and working, but have a US citizen. Are they expected to file and claim like a tax credit for the child? Yeah, that's the question. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Okay, yeah. The question is, if we have like two international students, F1, F1, both of them are F1, yeah, and they have a child who is a citizen. Of course, the parents are non-immigrant, but the child is a citizen. Are they expected to file as a are they expected to file in maybe as a non-resident now or as a resident? Or more importantly, are they expected to claim child credit for the
So here's the thing, right? Remember, when you're filing taxes, the taxpayer is not your kid. The taxpayer is you. Everything that goes on that form is pertaining to you, not your child, okay? So if you as the parent, you're non-resident, you can't claim your child. You can't get credit on that child because the form is being filed for you. The only reason you're putting your child there is because of tax breaks. But because you are not legally qualified, right? Your kid, you don't get the credit on your kid. Even though your kid was born here, you don't get the credit. It's when your own status changes that you get a credit on your child.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, ma. Another question in that is somehow related to that is, the person was like, I'm an F1 student and my spouse is a US citizen. Should I file Form 1040 NR or 1040?
Okay, let me speak on that. Your spouse is a citizen and you have married to him or her. Has the person done adjustment of status for you?
Okay, that's
We
a
need to know
follow-up
that
question.
before we can.
The person could just try to address that.
If
just
yes,
okay.
If yes, definitely you are going to file 1040. If yes, if your status has changed, because by the virtue of marriage and your spouse done what is needful, you automatically become a resident. So if yes, you file 1040. But if no, if you are still under F1, you are going to file 1040 anyhow.
Okay, so thank you so much, ma. Yeah, I think we've answered this question before. This person was like, what is the approved app or way to file as F1 students? If you want to talk on that again, yeah.
Yeah, is that you use an expert or you use sprinters?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This question, there's another question here. I am married. Okay, if I am married and my spouse is not yet in the US, am I supposed to choose married or should I select single while filing as an international student?
And the person is still below is it below 6 years? I need to know that. Is the person below 6 years?
In the United States. Yeah, okay. The person could add more to the question here, but the person is an international student.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can be an international student and still be a resident for tax purposes. Or if the person is below 6 years, the person can file single if you wish, or it can file married separately. Either of the two.
Okay, ma'am.
Because the spouse is not here. If you see yourself, you cannot file marriage jointly. No, you can't do that.
Okay. Okay. So let's look at this question. This person said, the person has two questions. He said, I invested in one of the online app as an international student that requires SSN, e.g., Hakon, Robinhood, JP Morgan, and all that. I think the person is, I assume the person is like saying if I invested, but it's not written that way. So it's like, if I invested as an international student on this app that requires SSN, so such as Robinhood, Econ, JP Morgan, and all that, does it mean I should file this? If yes, I should file all those, maybe the interest on it. If yes, can you share the forms with us on how to fill it? Like, what kind of form is the person expected to fill? You can, okay, the person has many questions here, but maybe we can just answer them. Are we going to answer it together, or we should just focus on this one first?
Can you say all the questions, because we
Okay,
don't
that would
have
be great.
time again?
Yeah, we don't. Now, the second question says, as an international student with graduate as teaching assistantship, the university only share W2 form and form 1098C, 1098C. Now said, I only used this last year, but you mentioned other forms like 1040NR form, which I don't think I used. Please clarify, did I wrongly file? What should I do this year? Now, the third question, if I want to get someone to fight for me as a student, I need advice, please, plus the range of payments for tax specialist service. Like maybe the recommendation on how much they charge and something like that. Yeah, those are the three questions the person asked.
Yeah. I will advise the person to actually reach out to me after this section or after this seminar, because the question is like a bit, yeah.
So, okay, thank you. Other questions. Do you pay taxes on savings accounts as an international student? Do you?
Yeah. I said it earlier that, and my colleague actually, she said this. Those are on earned income, and everything has to be reported.
Okay, thank you. He said, I came in for another person. I came in for 2022. I did not earn any income and I didn't file any taxes or certain form 8843. Is there any problem with that? Can I file for any years? I did not file. Can I file for any years I did not file at any time?
Yes, the person can file for any years that the person has not yet filed for.
Okay.
At least he or she has 3 years.
Okay.
To make necessary amendments.
Okay, ma. So can an F1 student have stocks, investment, and it will not have impact on green card application in the future? Then another thing the person asks is, how do I know how much returns I will get from rent credits? That's another question. He said, another question is, what factors determine whether I can file for rent credits or not? Am I to request for any form from my leasing manager of my apartment for filing? So those are the questions of this person.
I suspected that person is from mass. Yeah, if that person is from mass, the maximum you can get is 4,000. So if you file with an expert, they will do what is needful for you. Because that is one of the reasons why you need to file with your professionals. They'll be able to help you to get some things that you may not be aware of.
Okay. Thank you, Ma. There is another one here that is somehow long. If I can file from any years I did not file at any time. Okay, I think we have answered this, that you can file any year you have not filed for at any time. My wife unknowingly, we have answered this. Okay. There's a question here. What if you had a monetized YouTube channel before coming to United States? If you already have the YouTube channels, what do you do now? Like you've already have a YouTube channel that you have monetized back in your home country. Like, what is to be done now?
Okay. For every non-resident, you only pay taxes on the money you make in United States alone. For every non-resident. But if your status changed to residence, you pay taxes on the income in United States and outside United States.
Okay, thank you.
So do we, yeah.
Yeah. So another question we have here is, this person said, I started schooling for 2023 and I didn't start working till January, meaning I didn't get my SSN and on W2 till early January. That is around August 2023, and the person did not start working until January 2024. So he now said, how exactly do we file for tax? That's one.
The person needs to file for 8843 for the number of days he stayed in the United States in 2023.
Okay, so the second question is, during fall 2023, I was paying rent and school fees, but my accounts were not connected to my SSN as at that time. How do I include that in filing for my tax?
He or she was paying rent on what?
Rent and school fees, but my accounts were not connected.
If the person lives in Mass, you are entitled to at least maximum of 4,000 rent credits. And you must have an evidence for it that you actually pay for your rent.
Okay.
And don't try to manipulate anything that can be dangerous.
Okay, thank you, ma. And I'm also assuming this person was saying school fees and all that. I don't think as an international student you are expected to file from 1098 that reports what is it called, tuition. I don't think you are expected to file that. Am I right? Like
yeah, I've said it earlier that is for tuition statement. It's for the residents. If you are a resident, it will benefit you. But if you are not, they will just send it to you. It can't add anything to you because you're not qualified for the benefit of it.
Okay, thank you, ma, for clarifying the school fees part. Now, can a J1 visa holder, non-resident, who has identified to pay tax as married filing separately, indicate married filing together with my J2 dependent? My J2 dependent just arrived in December 2023. Do I need to pay taxes for my J2 dependent? Do I need to pay taxes or maybe 5 taxes?
Okay, if that J1 person, if he or she has stayed above 2 years in United States, the person qualified for residence and he or she can file jointly.
Okay.
But if the person has not yet spent above 2 years in the United States, he or she will still file married separately, and the J2 will file 8843 form.
Yeah.
There are two forms. 1040 NR, if the person stayed in United States is below 2 years, and 8843 for the dependents of that person.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think you've answered these questions before now. The person was like, can international students use FreeTax USA to save file?
I want you to be very careful. If you can lay your hand on 1040 NR is okay for you because that is a form that is applicable for non-residents in United States.
Okay. The next question we have is, as a student, if you receive a 1099 form from your employer and you saw a non-employee compensation on the form, there was no withholding income tax. Will you still file it?
you have to file it because there's not always withholding tax on 1099, and the tax rate for it is 15.3%. When you speak to a tax professional, that's what they're going to do. You still need to file your tax because you are going to pay 15.3% on that.
Okay. I think we are gradually getting to the end of the questions we have. Somebody was asking, Mama Adeni said, do you charge consultation fee for those? Maybe you should chat you separately. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. For as many of you that really want to do your task this year, if you wish to use the complaint of I and my friend, you are welcome. Just reach out to me. We're into taxes, so just reach out. We can help you. Then we discuss. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. There is a question here that says, what percentage of one's wage should the employer withhold on behalf of international students to avoid having every tax liabilities at the end of the year?
I think it's good for someone. I think it's good for international students to always just put 0.
Okay. Okay.
Just put 0. Yeah,
Okay.
because if you put 0, you have opportunity to get something at the end of the day. You are telling them not to, that you're telling them that not to, because if you put 1 or 2, you will get more money. Your paycheck will be more. But at the end of the year, you will end up paying back the government. Did you get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, okay, there is a question here. Someone was asking that, someone says, thank you very much, ma. Please, ma, is the child support the same amount for non-resident and residents? I mean, child support, maybe child tax credit, something like that.
Non-residents does not get that until you become a resident.
Okay, yeah, you don't get tax child tax credit until you become
you don't
a
get
resident.
it. Yeah, it's for residents.
Okay, thank you, ma. So we are almost rounding up. I think we have like 2 more questions. There's a question here that says, thank you for the session. My spouse F1 visa on F2 visa visited and spent 3 weeks before going back. Do I need to file taxes for him?
That does not qualify for residency. The 3 weeks is okay. You don't need to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ma.
But if it is up to 6 months, you need to file Form 8843.
Okay. I think this one is I think this one is this question is coming from the same person that asked the question of having a US citizen wife and he being a on F1 student. The person was like, the person has already filed and is expecting decision. So since I don't know what could happen.
Until your status change, you have to wait. Let your status change before you file 1040.
Okay. And the other person that we were asking, I think you already answered the question. Either the person was here for more than 5 years or below 5 years. I think you already answered the question hypothetically, like in both cases. Now, there's a question here that says, if the professional didn't use sprinters, is there a consequence? Like if you use a professional and the person doesn't
No,
use
for example, let's say you come to me to do your tasks for you. I won't use printers.
Okay.
Because I'm a professional. I will fill the normal 1040 and feel what is needful because I know what to do. But if you want to do it yourself, because you are not knowledgeable on some things, to be good for you to use printers. But if you come to a professional like us, we won't use printers. We will use our own software.
Okay. One can be, at least one can be answered. I didn't get what Matthew is saying, but there's a question here that says, if as an internet, if as an international student, I ignorantly use an app that is for residents 2 days ago, can I cancel it and consult my ISS without repercussion? The person has filed 2 days ago.
Find one thing. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
amend it. Can amend and do the right thing.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I think some questions just came in now. I think he said, I know our time is fast spent, but we just try to see what we can do. This question says, do I need to show my earnings from Robinhood and PayPal if I choose not to include them? Does it come with any risk?
All earned income and unearned income must be reported for your safety.
Okay. So another question, do I have to report bank bonuses for opening accounts and having direct deposits on the account? Also, do I
All
have to
unearned
file all?
income it has to be
Okay.
reported because they've sent a copy to IRS. So
Okay.
there is no way you can disguise that you don't want to report it. A copy has been sent to IRS before even sent to you. So every unearned income has to be reported.
Okay, thank you, Ma. So I think you already answered this. So talking about YouTube and how that what can be done now. So then there is a question here that says, what is the best way of filing your taxes? Is it either through a tax app, a tax professional, or other alternatives?
If you actually want more benefits that you yourself may not have a knowledge of, you can use a professional like we. But if you can want to do it yourself, you can go ahead and do it yourself, but use printers.
Okay. Somebody was like, help us, man, to share 1040 NR, maybe form. Maybe that could be shared on the WhatsApp or anywhere.
Yeah, it can be.
Okay. How do we reach out? Do you have any email or contact number? Somebody is asking that. Then
Let me quickly share this to them, please.
Okay.
Because a lot of people has been asking, they need to see it. Yeah. For all international students, if you are not working, you are supposed to fill this form. Your dependent has to fill this form. If you are not earning income, it is mandatory to fill this form. And if you have a dependent, they need to fill this form. That is that. I hope every one of you have seen it. This is the form. It's so easy. You don't need Social Security for this form. If you have it, fine. But if you don't have it, it's okay. It's just to report the number of days you have spent in United States. This is mandatory for all international students that does not have income. It's very important. Everybody. Do we see? This is for 2023. If you want to file for this. So for now, let me share the 1040 NR with you all so that you all can see it.
Okay, Ma. I think all these forms, you can also try to get them online.
Online, they are online, yeah.
Our time is
They're
fast
online because
spent.
spend. We don't have time.
Yeah. Mommy, what I would like you to do, Mrs. Adeni and Mrs. Our other moderator, is if you feel it's comfortable, you can just try to share your contacts with people here, because some people have many questions that they feel they want to consult you for. So you can share it with them as we wrap up the session. There are a lot of questions on our mind, but you can share them directly to the moderators, and you can consult with them on any of your task-related questions.
Yeah, so that is it.
Yeah. So,
that's
okay, this is the form. So they will be able to
I'll
help
put
you.
the link on the chat for you all, just for you to see.
Okay.
But if you fill it yourself, you are going to send it to IRS manually if you do it yourself. Or if you do it through a professional, they can fine electronically for you.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you, thank you so much for coming today, every one
I'm
of
going
us.
to put my phone number
Yeah.
and my friend phone number. Either of us, you can reach out to us.
Yeah. So we've kind of yeah, we've kind of have a very wonderful session today, and we really appreciate our task experts that have come to help us. So please, as we are wrapping the as we are wrapping everything up, we want to make sure all our newcomers are appreciated. We want you to drop your stuff, or your email, and also try to fill those forms that we have. Please, you can help us share the form again for the newcomers. We want you to be able to fill the form so that you can always get all our informations as we continue. Just like you have experienced today, this wonderful session, we normally have different programs that is directly targeted to we international students and people that are even residents that have been in the United States and people that are just joining. So, and as you join us and you continue with us, our God Almighty will continue to bless us. So we have some announcements here. So yeah, thank you. Some people are already dropping their names and their emails. You can do that, and you can also try to fill the forms that we have. We have some brief announcements for us. Number one thing and the most important thing is we have some programs coming up. We are gonna announce that, but one thing I want you to understand all is, just like it has been explained in the video that we saw earlier, International Student for Christ is a body that cares for international students and residents, people that come here newly to United States, and those people that have even been here before. It has always been a family place where we do different programs. We have academic programs, immigration programs, we have this kind of task program now, financial awareness. In fact, if we're here in January, we had a conference that, in fact, a lot of well accomplished people, they came and they teach us a lot of stuff. So that is what we do here. And I'm going to share you some important time. We also have a WhatsApp group for those of you that are joining us. So that's why it's important for you to drop your name and your Gmail or anything where we can reach out to you so that we can send all those things to you. We have a WhatsApp group where we share our information. So, but now going quickly to our announcement. Every Sunday, every Saturday, we normally have what is called breakfast with Jesus. We normally have it early in the morning, depending on the time zone that you have. But it's for me now is MST. So, but the normal standard we use is EST, which is the Eastern Standard Time. So it normally start by 8 o'clock. Right? I think by 8 o'clock in the morning. So every
But
morning
Tolu,
on.
just a minute.
Okay.
Media, can you please stop the YouTube?
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. So every Saturday, we do normally meet for our breakfast with Jesus. It's an opportunity where we come together to pray. And also on Sundays, we do normally have our plug in where we come together later in the evening on Sunday to worship and to also share the word with ourselves. So, and that one normally happen also in the evening of Sunday. So by 7 p.m. Eastern time. So you need to convert that to your different time zone that you have, but it normally happens 7 p.m. Every Sunday. So we have some important program coming up. February is normally known for, a love kind of month. And if I do ask many of you, we know that this is Valentine period, like that, people show loves to one another. And we have a special program for you. And I don't know if the media could help us to project this because it's really, really important for us to be part of it. And we are going to be looking at this important topic, just like we come for this seminar today. This is titled What Love Is and What It Is Not. It is meant for all our singles and married brother. Nobody is excluded. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I'm married. I don't think I need this. I'm single. In fact, I don't even have, I'm not thinking about that now. It is for you. So, and the program is coming up next Sunday. I told you that we have our plug-in every Sunday by 7 p.m. So this next the Sunday of February 11th by 7 p.m. we are going to be holding this program, and we have these three objectives. I mean, there's going to be these three things happening. We are going to be practicing self-love. Why we waiting for those people of us? I mean, for those people that are singles, we are practicing how to practice self-love. Why waiting for him or her? What we need to be doing. Then for those people, and also reigniting the first love amidst life demand. And I think this is, targeted towards